Good afternoon, everybody. It's June 23rd. It's about 2:50 in the afternoon. As I just showed you on that house, we're in Ukraine. We're on the edge. The street's called Ukraine. Ukrainskaya. Okay, well, here's a better sign. I've been here before. I just thought I would show some of the houses that are inside of Minsk. You know, their little yards and things. Lady over there. So, this place, I guess, is vacant lot. Ready for your house if you have the money. What's this guy doing here? I don't know. Getting a tan, I suppose. Just saw a cat. Where did the cat go? Went to the grass, I suppose. Let's see. Oh, saw a dog coming. Saw a lady with a dog. So the cat made itself scarce. Nice big black and white cat. Okay. Yesterday, spokesperson for the State Department, the United States State Department. Her name is Tammy Bruce. Tammy Bruce, she's a real, what do you call it? A piece of work, I guess people would call it. Donald Trump, I don't know. I guess he put her in that position, but it makes you really wonder. Some people are asking, what the heck? How did this woman get there? She's, I think she's even been a little bit critical of Donald Trump, but this time she wasn't. Of course, a lot of people are very, very incredibly happy that the United States has decided to bomb Iran. And it has nothing to do with nuclear weapons. It's a little bit more about regime change. Makes you really wonder. There are far, far, far worse places in the world. If you want to, if you think you care about the people of some country, there's many places that are vastly worse than Iran. So it makes you wonder, well, why don't they do something about those places? You know, or some other regimes. What about Ukraine? I mean, Ukraine is a perfect example. Here's another vacant lot ready for your house. It'll be a big lot here. Here, let's go look at this house here a little bit closer. I don't know what the bricks are. Maybe to keep people from parking here, I suppose. I got some dark soil put here. Ah, I can't see the sign. It says Ukraine. It's kind of a fixer-upper. The babushka, they're sleeping. Shh. Put the coat on? With a sweater on in the sun. My oh my. Oh, here's one house. Look at some of these yards. These are actually pretty good sized yards. The metro is, what, 10-minute walk from here? This house, look at no windows on this side. Big yard. Looks like, what is that, an apple tree? Can't really tell. Also has a bench right there. Same place. The dog house. Look at a yard in the back. Oh, look at a kitty. There's my kitty. Oh, two kitties. Look at this one. Also no window on this side. Okay. Well, maybe it's a dead end here. Cul-de-sac. Some cherries. Not quite ripe, huh? Okay, Tammy Bruce is her name. She had an interview and she was proud to represent Donald Trump, and she made it clear that the United States is the second greatest country in the world after Israel. Here is this woman. She's in a high position in the United States government, and yet she says that the United States is the second greatest country in the world. Nice lady over here. Wow, pretty young girl. She said that right there getting interviewed. That's absolutely incredible. There's also another house with a big yard. I don't know if I want to go on this other street over here. Come to a main street. I don't know the name of this street. I don't think it is a prospect. Maybe it is. I suppose I could cut through here. Looks like a vacant lot, probably owned by the government. I have no idea. Maybe this is a place where people take their dogs to do their business. Got to be careful. Okay. Second greatest country after Israel, she said. Gosh, I don't know. You know, you think about some of these people, like look at Ted Cruz, for example, and to me, you know, by his words, he's also saying, he's never going to admit it. He's never going to come right out and admit it, but he's basically saying that he loves Israel more than he loves the United States. Those who love Israel get blessed, and I guess that was a misquote from the Bible. Some people looked that one up, and it was about Abraham. There's no mention whatsoever of Israel in there. There is no mention that if you love Israel or if you bless Israel, you will be blessed. It does not exist. That is just a total lie. Like he made that up, or maybe somebody lied to him and made it up. It's like another lot here. I don't know. I was hoping I can kind of cut through this area. Well, let me go on the busy road. You guys can hear me anyway. I looked at other videos, and when I'm talking to you, I think a lot of the background noise is not heard. It's more like I can't hear myself. I've never walked down this road, I guess, doing a video. But Tammy Bruce, one thing I noticed about her before, and you know, the thing that I was curious about, why did Donald Trump appoint her? Because in the recent past, every time she gets up in front of the cameras, she has something snide to say about Israel, about Russia. She's a real hater of Russia, and she loves Israel. And she said something also that she had a privilege or an honor or something to be representing this government, whatever sort of a deal. So it's kind of strange because she's deep state, she's hate Russia, she's Trumpite, and she's all of these things all at the same time. It's absolutely incredible. She's an Israeli firster. And it might even become more and more clear to the rest of us that Donald Trump, he might be Israel first. There's a lot of congressmen that are Israeli firsters. These people got slowed down, thinking I might be wanting to cross here. It's, I don't know, it must be some sort of a law. Maybe they look and make sure that people, look at, like this guy, he's even slow. Well, that's a speed bump over there, I guess. But even where I live in that area, if you're walking even in the direction of a crosswalk, the cars will stop. It's not like in some other places in the world where they're going to try to rush to make sure that they can get across before you do. Here they stop. Oh no, another vacant lot. I was here once before and I remember that there was graffiti. Look at that, look at that. Look at the scourge of graffiti. Look at it all over, look at it. Actually, there's not that much in Belarus, but sometimes, some places. Well, here's a nice lady in a long dress coming. Gosh, where are they coming from? But it's another vacant lot here. And this does look like an apple tree. It has a caterpillar problem. No, this is a cherry tree without cherries. There's one cherry, I guess, right there. And that's it. No, there's another cherry. Not very many. Anyway, what other cherry trees? Let's see. Anyway, I was just actually waiting for that lady. You guys know me. I'm not going to go after her. I'm not chasing women. It's like looking at paintings sometimes. Okay. What else about her? Anything? Yeah, Tammy Cruz. Oh, and another thing, you know. Trump has viciously attacked Thomas Massie, who supported him, who is, whether you believe it or not, and he certainly was, he supported Trump, part of the MAGA movement, and one of the main reasons, or the main reason why he is supporting the MAGA movement is because Donald Trump, as in Massey's words, said he promised no more regime change wars. And I'm sure that that's what locked Tulsi Gabbard in too. She really hates that, to go around the world, as the United States is wont to do, topple governments, do assassinations, bomb countries in order to make a government that is more friendly to the United States and will do anything that the United States tells them to, and to get control. I mean, there are other ways where they do that too. They blackmail people, and all different kinds of ways. And as a matter of fact, that's pretty much what's going on right now. A lot of people are talking about that with Armenia. And this guy, he looks like he's always depressed. What's his name? Pashtun, or whatever the guy's name is, that runs Armenia. And Armenia used to be in the sphere of Russia, pretty much. Russia was giving them protection. And there's always been some confrontations between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Russia's been trying to bring peace, and then there's some contested areas. Azerbaijan is far more powerful. Azerbaijan is extremely supported by Turkey, and the Turkey's bias, heavy bias. Turks never did like the Armenians for some odd reason, and of course a lot of people say there was a Armenian genocide, and apparently they were very nasty during the times of the Ottoman Empire, towards the end of it there. So, but Russia's been trying to keep things calm there, and now this leader of Armenia has been doing military exercises with the United States. So somehow the USA is really going for Armenia. I don't even understand why, because they are in between Iran and Russia and Azerbaijan, and in other words, everybody around them would be like hostile. And why would the United States think that they're going to be successful by establishing a base there? I don't know how Azerbaijan feels towards the United States, but anyway, I'm just saying. But they're trying to get rid of the church there. It's you know, I see these words apostolic, I see Catholic, and I have not seen anything that says Orthodox. But apparently Russia has very friendly relations with the church there in Armenia, and this guy, I think he jailed some person who's like the biggest businessman there. And he said something like, I don't really even know what he said, something like the guy's trying to overthrow the government or whatever, but there's nothing there, and the people there are, what do you say, that extremely in favor of these churches that this guy is trying to get rid of. So some of these old cars here. Moscovich or something. Here's somebody, looks like they had an old house here and looks like they renovated to make it look more modern. It's pretty impressive if you look at it closely. It's an old wooden house. It's built in much more modern times. Never did like that white brick. Doesn't look that great. I would have used, just for looks, the other ones. I think that brick is actually very good as far as in holding in heat, though. Keeping it cool and holding in heat. Yeah, I've been here before. You see this house, it looks like a piece of art more than anything else. I don't know. How can you renovate this to keep that fabulous looking character on there? Really looks nice, I think. It looks nice, but I don't know, still needs renovation. Let's take another walk over here and look at some more houses and keep going here. I gotta keep going on the news. You guys probably want to hear news more than anything else. Yeah, Donald Trump, he wrote a tweet against Massey, and you know Donald Trump, extremely insulting. He wants everybody. It's very strange about Donald Trump. He's normally the one that starts out insulting people. He uses the most vicious and underhanded, snide remarks and insults to people. And if they insult him back, he expects them to come and apologize to him. You know, it sounds like, I mean, this guy, sorry to say, Donald Trump is also a big piece of work. Donald Trump, I don't know, what do you say? He's got this ego. Donald Trump can do no wrong. Donald Trump, you know, a lot of people that get a lot of money, and I've met them, you've probably met them too, they believe that everything they do is right, everything they do is better, and there's nothing wrong. They make no mistakes. You know, oh, they've got a lot of money, so everything they do is never a mistake. So they can get away with anything that they want to get away with. Donald Trump is like that. I have, like I told you guys, you know, one time when I was in the military, I dealt with a lot of big shots, you know, generals, and a few times, you know, like heads of state. I mean, it's not that I was dealing with them, but I met them, you know, hear them talk. And a lot of times they'll say things in front of me they won't say in front of other leaders and things like that. And generals sometimes would talk to me. I'd be one-on-one with some generals in charge of some really big aspects of the U.S. military. And not that they gave away any real secrets or nothing like that, but I also, when I worked in the Caribbean and I was growing coffee, and I met investors, quite a few investors, you know, rich people. A few of them might have been billionaires. The more I think about it, a couple of them, most of them, they just had, you know, even the youngest ones and the ones that didn't have that much, they even had a few million. So, but some of them had more millions than other people. And it's a lot of crazy stuff. And then there's people that are not really millionaires, but say they own large pieces of property, and they have maybe they might be close to $1 million. Plus all of their assets definitely puts them over $1 million. And a lot of them, they believe, for example, that like the women that don't have so much money, or regular women, are part of their harem, and they can just come and take them when they want to, you know, and start to pressure them, and, you know, start inviting them. It sometimes doesn't even matter if they're married, you know, they just start pressuring, trying to grab these women. And I've seen politicians that are the same way. Just a few, not so many politicians. A lot of them are a lot more careful. They know that can catch up with them. But I've seen, trust me, well, let me just disclose something. One of them tried to pick up on my wife big time and was doing all sorts of things, inviting her over, and had pet names for her and all sorts of things. My wife was scared crapless. She was scared to crap. Trust me on that. But anyway, that's how that is. So it's like I'm telling you this stuff firsthand. So, but a lot of them, rich people and things, they just think, like, you know, you remember when that was that open mic or something, when Donald Trump was talking about, you know, how he picked up women and things like that. But anyway, I'm starting not to really like Donald Trump very much at all. You know, I mean, even in spite of some of the good things he's done, you know, and I can honestly tell you, and you won't believe me, you won't agree with me, and you'll be angry at me. Some of you will probably cancel your subscription. But there are even good things that Adolf Hitler did, you know, and some of them are probably even better things than Donald Trump did, you know. So it's not like good people can't do bad things and bad people can't do good things. It's just like that quip, as they say, you know, the good people in history are never as good as they say they are, and the bad ones are never as bad as they say they are. Donald Trump is a perfect example of that. You know, a lot of people are looking at this guy, and based on zero evidence, black cat running across the road, absolutely zero evidence. As a matter of fact, the evidence, there's actually, you can say there is actually evidence that points to the fact that Iran is not making a nuclear bomb, and then Donald Trump is using that as an excuse to bomb Iran. But everybody knows it has nothing to do with any nuclear bombs, nothing whatsoever. It has to do with Donald Trump kissing up to Israel. And I've said in my videos before, I said, well, I wonder who is in charge. Is it Israel in charge, or is the United States in charge? You know, and I tell you what, Israel is the superpower of influence. They, like they say, I have to say this in so many videos. You know, some reporter asked Israel, why don't you become the 51st state? And Israel said, this big official said, well, you know, if you're a state, you only get 2 senators. And right now, we have 30 senators. Why would we want to become a state? So, and they've said other things too. It's cheaper to buy a politician than it is to buy a tank. That's one thing that the Israelis have also said. You know, there's times at least where they're very honest, you know, and there's times, of course, where they lie a lot. But at those times it was obvious, and they were certainly being honest. So, anyhow, these are very quiet neighborhoods, to be honest with you. Some guy over there probably redoing something. In spite of their, look at over here, this guy working, making a little bit of noise. And there's a high-rise apartment buildings over there. But here you are, the birds are chirping, no traffic on here. Here you are in Minsk, not in the middle of Minsk. You're kind of towards the end of the side of Minsk, down here in the southeast corner. But you have these little neighborhoods. They're just like little villages far outside of Minsk, but yet you're in Minsk. So it's not a bad thing when you think about it to, like, say, buy a house. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of advantages to being in Minsk rather than being outside of Minsk. So a lot of times, say, your utilities costs, believe it or not, they're not expensive in Minsk. I've seen somewhat larger towns, not the main 4 or 5 biggest towns in Belarus, but some other towns, say medium size. I would maybe better judge them as medium size, and your utility costs are higher there than they are inside of Minsk. So anyway, you guys want to hear the news? I'm sorry, I get on tangents here. Okay. So a lot of these people are far more loyal to Israel than they are to the United States. Oh, surprise? I've known that for a long time. I'm sure a lot of you guys that watch this channel also know that. I've even mentioned that recently, even long before any of this stuff started happening here. Yes. Trump, even after he said he completely destroyed the nuclear capacity, all of it devastated. And now they're starting to say that maybe they didn't do that. And why is Israel continuing to bomb the Fordow places? Well, it turns out that they didn't destroy it. As a matter of fact, 2 of them they definitely did not destroy. And as a matter of fact, they did minimal damage to it. What's that one that starts with an I? Isfor or something? And then this Fordow, that's too far down underground. And Donald Trump is now, you know, he's coming out. You know, Donald Trump, he didn't go there. He's not a scientist. You know, he's never seen what these bombs do. He's swearing that these bombs, you know, oh, there's not that much damage on the surface. You know, there's some craters, but he says, oh, it went down below. But I think those assets were too low. Those bombs don't go that deep. I think they're about 100 meters shy. And if another thing that I remember hearing, and this is something that I remembered because I was kind of intrigued by this. You know, sometimes, you know, you got to keep your memory, you know, going and say, I got to remember that. But the concrete that Iran uses is much stronger than the concrete that is used in the West. So they have a lot stronger concrete. And I can't even remember why. I just remembered that that is a fact. They have stronger concrete in Iran than they do in us Western countries. So when somebody says, oh, hell, puncture southern sentimental concrete, you know, when you're talking a large amount of concrete like that and it's stronger, that's very significant. There's another little village. I don't know if people actually even park their cars here. Lady's probably going to think I'm stalking her. I'll just kind of walk up here. I never walked up this way. Okay. So, you know, it's kind of, what about Donald Trump? You know, it's like, is he stupid? I don't think he's stupid. He knows they're not trying to make a nuclear bomb. He's just trying to think everybody else is stupid. That he can convince everybody that Iran is making a nuclear bomb. So everybody will get on board and support his bombing. That's probably why he's really pissed off at this Massey, because Massey's not buying it. And I don't think that Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't think Candace Owens, I think a lot of people, they're not buying Donald Trump's crap. So, it's a nice little house here. They gotta clean it up. Look at this. Probably some old lady probably wants to sell it. Move into some apartment somewhere. Well, the house maybe needs to be torn down anyway. Get rid of all this junk as well. A lot of older people, as you see a lot of time when I'm walking through here, I see old people kind of looking over fences and things like that. So maybe they have grandchildren they want to give the house to at some point in time. Grandchildren probably tear it down. I can tell you, like apartment right next to us. The cat up there. Apartment right next to us. This lady, her father died, and her mother, all very within a short period of time. She keeps the place empty. Look at the cat up there. Well, it was quiet, not quiet anymore. Okay. Another thing about Donald Trump's accusation that Iran is trying to get a nuclear bomb, you know, we have this convention, I don't know who made this one up, some convention in the United States that you have to show proof and evidence. Maybe witnesses can be tainted, but you know, you have to have something to prove something before you're going to go after somebody. Now that's definitely an apple tree. But there is no proof. As I said, there's more proof that proves that they aren't making a nuclear weapon. The IAEA inspectors, this Grossi, Rafael Grossi, apparently he said something, and then he came out right afterwards because maybe they tricked him. I believe Israel probably tricked him and made him kind of say something to make it sound like as if he is saying that Israel, well, not Israel, that Iran is making a nuclear weapon. And I think his conscience got to him, and he's been coming out. He's come out at least 3-4 times already. He's been giving these speeches and say, I have no evidence and no indication whatsoever. None of my inspectors have any of that to show that Iran is making a nuclear bomb. But whatever he said before, of course, they're going with that. It doesn't matter what the truth is. What was it? I think it was, oh, I forgot the name now. Hearst. I think it was Hearst back at the turn of the last century is saying the truth is what we tell you it is. You know? I'm not sure. Or maybe the news is what we tell you. I don't know, something. And anyway, so, and all these countries, Russia, China, of course Iran, Russia, China, and all these countries, you know, Iran asked for a special meeting at the United Nations Security Council. Of course they got it. And it's like, to me, it's almost not even worth reporting. And they're all sitting there crying and complaining. But you know, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Whenever the United States or Israel does anything, nothing is going to happen. They can break any laws. They can break any laws that they want. They can do anything. The law does not apply. And I'm sure you guys know this by now. So it's like an exercise in futility to try to do anything in the United Nations whenever the United States commits a crime or Israel, because nothing will ever happen. It will never, ever happen. There will never, ever be any punishment against Israel or the United States. It has never happened, and it never will happen. It doesn't matter how many resolutions they have against Israel, and there's many and many of them. There has never, ever been any punishment against Israel. It's just like all of these Israeli soldiers that kill children. Point blank, even on video. None of them have ever served a day in jail. None of them whatsoever. So they never get punished. They do anything they want to do, especially when it's against either Palestinians or Iranians or even, hey, God forbid, Russians even probably. You know, there's a little bit of Russia. Russia's got some power, so they do that. If Russia didn't, you know, George Galloway and many others are saying that Iran made a mistake by not getting a nuclear weapon. You know, it's kind of strange. They said, look at North Korea. Now that they have nuclear weapons, everybody leaves them alone. And it's like, oh, North Korea is going to attack, you know, and all of this stuff is fake. Why is it that once somebody gets a nuclear weapon, oh, then they're not trying to attack? And it's like, then they leave them alone. It's unbelievable. But you guys see what's going on. They make this stuff. It's all manufactured because there's maybe some resources. Iran has some resources. The United States wants to get control of them. They want to make a huge profit out of that. Israel as well. Israel, now that they've got the Golan, There's huge amounts of resources there. They got the complete goal, and after Israel, the United States, and of course with the help of Turkey, it looks like as well, they could them completely destroyed Syria. So Syria is gone. It's nothing it's nothing anymore, and it probably never will be anything. Israel ceded a whole big portion of the territory, the entire Golan Heights now. Yeah, what a great world. But they're the good guys. The good guys are the ones that go and maim and kill and bomb and destroy. How dare you for defending yourself? That is aggression. And it's right in front of our eyes, and it's like nothing we can do about it. I mean, some of you that are watching this, you guys acknowledge that, but there's about a lot of these dummies. It's like the Matrix, you know? They want to know that that steak that they're eating is real. So, yeah. George Galloway was interviewing Colonel Douglas McGregor, and they talked about Trump deceiving. I mean, everybody, just like I said in that one video, Trump like this a deceiver. Now everybody is calling Trump a deceiver because that's exactly what he did. And Iran is not taking this very kindly. A lot of people are talking about this, you know. And then now the military is coming out and saying how proud they are that, you know, that they deceived Iran. They made a feint with these B-2 bombers and something like that. I don't know, but it looks like it's deception. Tricking people, that is the norm today, to trick people. You know, it's very strange that, you know, the bad guys never trick the good guys, but the good guys are the ones that do the tricks. They do the tricking and the deceiving and the lying. So I guess that is a good trait. It's a good trait when you lie and deceive. That's, I guess, what it teaches our children in the world today, the next generation. Those that lie and cheat, steal, come and steal somebody else's property, that is what the good guys do. Unbelievable. Okay, anyway, the deception of Donald Trump. And the Iranians are also saying they don't know who they can trust or believe, or how they can trust or believe the United States anymore. It's the same thing with Russia. Look at how many times they lied to Russia. And Russia, I'll tell you what, right now, they're probably thinking in the back of their mind, and you know, Donald Trump is playing up to Putin like that, but I tell you what, Putin, he's got really thick skin. You know, all this crap, there's a lot of people that are talking about that. All of the crap that they do to him, they trick him and deceive him and all that, and Putin always, you know, he's always calm, and he's what's that word? Reserved and all that. And how does Putin even know that Donald Trump is not tricking him right now, tricking him with these, because that's exactly what they did with Iran. They were having peace negotiations, and Donald Trump, when he said, oh, they have 2 weeks, it's also been put out, when Donald Trump announced that he'll decide in 2 weeks, he had already decided, I guess 3 hours before that, definitely that he is going to bomb Iran. He decided 2 hours before he said they have 2 weeks. Yeah, and Iran is saying, well, you know, and they're trying to tell Iran to come back to the negotiating table. And Iran says, we were at the negotiating table. We were at the negotiating table, and then we were attacked. So what was the words? I don't know. I'll get to that. I wrote that at the end here anyway. Okay. Yes. Remember when they screwed over Russia and they lied to Russia? Not 1 inch are they going to move NATO towards Russia's borders. And now look at that. They took a whole swath of countries, huge amount of countries. Not 1 inch. Yeah. Trump is continuing the trend. As a lot of people that I know, they say that they trust Donald Trump no more than they trust Joe Biden. And I have to agree with that. Donald Trump, he's a deceiving liar. I hate to say that, but he certainly is. He's not an honest man. Not in any way, shape, or form. He's been already showing that very, very well here. And he's not any more honest than Zelensky or Netanyahu. Yeah. Zelensky, he wrote a tweet It's on the 21st, where he said so far this year he's got 43 billion that has been sent to him for Ukraine's defense industry. I don't know, that does not include that, you know, like say the United States pays the pensions of all the Ukrainians. So American people, you know, thank you very much for your taxpayer money. You're not getting that much pension. Maybe some of you are denied a pension, but you're paying the Ukrainians' pensions. Do you even think that the United States government determined whether those people that are getting the pensions, that they deserve the pension? It's probably an 18-year-old boy of some politician getting a pension before is all, you know. Anyway, it's okay. Zelensky said that next year we call on, these are his words, next year we call on each ally to allocate 0.25% of their GDP for this. So he's asking for even more money. He wants more money. But I have already heard about that. And already Belgium has promised to give him, I don't know, what is it, 1.2 billion every year, free of charge, no strings attached, just to give it to him as a free gift. You know, and other countries have done the same thing. Heil, Heil, Ukraine! Slava Heil! Oops. I don't want to teach these children bad words like that. Okay. Okay, let's see here. What did he say? Oh, he said, yeah, 2.5% GDP for this, because supporting Ukraine's defense means supporting Europe's security, he said. Yeah, so sending your money to us is supporting yourself. Hey, I'm gonna get to my bank account right away and send it to Zelensky, because I really want to be safe. Lukashenko, I think it was yesterday, he released Sergei Tikhanovsky. That is the husband of Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who was the leader of the opposition, I guess, when they had these this attempt. It certainly was. It was definitely, undeniably, of course, admitted by the United States and other people when they were trying to overthrow the government of Belarus. And even Victoria Nuland said she's going to continue trying to overthrow the government. That's when she was in power. That was when did she step down? Just a little bit before she was relieved. She said she's going to continue seeking the overthrow or regime change in Belarus. So these people admit that they were overthrowing Belarus, and that's exactly what that was. I don't even know if the Belarusian people even know that, or they agree upon that. You know, sadly enough, a lot of people here, very many of them, and I keep saying this, I don't think the government even likes me saying that, but there's a lot of people here that are very much brainwashed. They don't like their government, you know, because they're brainwashed not to like their government. They don't even understand. They don't understand their government. They don't understand Belarus even. They don't seem to realize Belarus doesn't have any natural resources. They have a tiny little bit of fertilizer. They don't even have a seaport. You can't really, it's very difficult. The soils are not like in Ukraine. They don't have anything like Ukraine has, you know. Ukraine is gifted with a lot of resources, and they were far more. They had tourism, big tourism. You know, they had the Crimea before they started to mess everything up. They have a lot of minerals there, as you all know. Donald Trump has got a hold of a lot of them now, lithium and aluminum and everything. They don't have any of that in Belarus. Belarus has to do that. They have to make their money with this, baby. They have to make it with their labor. And it's an amazing country. And you need a good leader to be able to do that with no resources, not even a seaport. I could go on. And when was Belarus in a war? Not since World War II, when over 1/3 of their people were decimated. And of course, we just we just experienced the anniversary of the attack on the Soviet Union from the proud ancestors of Friedrich Merz and Annalena Baerbock, Ursula von der Leyen, the Nazis, when they attacked Belarus on the 22nd of June, 1941. Matter of fact, the same day the attack that the United States attacked Iran. How ironic. But anyway, like I'm saying, it's very, very rough. It's amazing. It's amazing. And Belarus, believe it or not, they do better than the Baltic states. The Baltic states, they have ports. But you know, the one difference is that those are a bunch of corrupt idiots. They're corrupt. Like, look at England. I mean, all these places, these people are corrupt, and they're very poorly governed by idiots. So, I mean, sorry, that's the truth. The only thing, maybe, if that is even true, I'm not even sure. I think somebody said that Lukashenko, he is letting, what is it, 150,000 Pakistanis migrate. And you hear about the migrate to Belarus, and they have this problem of Pakistani men grooming young girls and things like that in the UK. I'm not saying that's going to happen here. I have no idea. I don't even know if that news is even true. But that would maybe be one thing questionable. But you know, if you go around and you see there's a huge amount of low-paying jobs needed in Belarus. And you saw like this guy mowing over here. Well, in my neighborhood, for some odd reason, it's overdue. The mowing is overdue. I kind of believe, and I've heard that they need people for doing this. You know, I tell you what, they're low-paying jobs, and I could probably go out in one day and I can get one of those jobs. But you know, when you're doing that job, it's not, you can't look for another job while you're doing it. And I sometimes am on the verge of wanting to do that, but I don't. Somebody doing some work, maybe inside here. What is it? Apartment building? I have no idea. Anyway, so they let this guy out, and I guess they let how many other people? 14 other prisoners. A lot of them were political prisoners. And this came because Kellogg, Donald Trump's envoy to Ukraine, made a trip to Belarus and asked Lukashenko to do that. And looks like they get along very well. You know, a little bit of hugging here and there. And so Lukashenko said, okay, I'll let him go at Donald Trump's request. So I guess more feathers in Donald Trump's hat. So I don't really know if this guy's gonna, I think that his crime was that he was obstructing the election, and he was part of the overthrow, obviously. So Donald Trump, you know, like I said, he's probably part of the deep state, part of the Israeli thing. Obviously, Israel bigger than anything. So it looks like Donald Trump has some ties to the deep state as well. And so this guy was part of the deep state. So, and they let him go. So it makes you really wonder. But they just had an election like not that long ago. I don't know, when is the election? So maybe this guy's gonna get ready and go for another try to overthrow the government. But it's, I think Lukashenko believes that Donald Trump is not in for that sort of a thing. But ironically, look what's going on in Iran. Regime change. So Donald Trump has even admitted. First he said it's not regime change, and now he says it is regime change. So, just said it like the next day. Okay, Trump went before the cameras and said he deserves 5 Nobel Peace Prize awards. Congo and Rwanda, Serbia and Kosovo, India and Pakistan, and the Abraham Accords. And he said, oh, but they only give it to liberals. You know, that might be very much true. You know, and a lot of people, I think it was even Vladimir Putin, said it's just a farce anyway. The Nobel Peace Prize is nothing but a farce. You know? And I think everybody knows that. It has something to do with politics. It doesn't really have anything to do with peace. If you really want to analyze it, Lukashenko, and I've said many times, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. So when has he taken Belarus to war? Lukashenko has been doing nothing but preventing war. Who is the one leader in the world that said the worst cause of pollution is war? You know, but you have all these knuckleheads, they talking about global warming, but they don't mention pollution. You know, global warming. And then of course they think it was perfectly fine to blow up the Nord Stream pipelines, which is the biggest release of greenhouse gases of any event in all of human history, was the blowing up of those pipelines. But yet they're perfectly fine with that. Nobody's complaining about that one, unless you really know what's going on. And a lot of this stuff, all these agendas, these things that are going on, it's all just a friggin' farce, you know. They get you riled up thinking, oh, global warming. CO2, that was the big one. CO2, that's the part that gets me. And I keep saying a lot of times in my videos, I said, well, what is the first molecule that is listed in the formula for photosynthesis? Oh, for God's sake, it's CO2. CO2. CO2, it's almost like there is no molecule that exists that is more responsible for human life on planet Earth than CO2. But yet Bill Gates is telling us we have to get rid of the CO2. It's like, well, we're stupid. Oh, can I please be in that movie called Idiocracy? I want to be in the movie called Idiocracy. Gosh dang. So, yes, okay. So Trump and his 5 Nobel Peace Prize awards. You know? Anyway, the country that Iran hosts, the country of Iran, you know, when you talk about like these refugees, there are going to be a huge refugee problem if there's massive bombing in Iran. And before I even get very far, I wanted to also say that right before I made this video, there was a big, huge, massive bombing in Tehran. And it turns out that's the university. They bombed virtually the entire university, because it's a huge area that the Israel bombed. And it looks like Israel is doing more bombing than Iran is doing. But then again, it's not allowed to photograph and to talk about any of the military bombings that Iran does in Israel. So they're only allowed to show any civilian sort of a thing. So, you know, they show far less than what Israel seems to be bombing in Iran. So, and they're having lots of bombing raids, lots and lots of them. And like I said already, and it's a very well-known fact, they are flooding Israel with bringing in bombs from the United States and from elsewhere. The planes just keep coming 24/7. Planes with more and more bombs, so that Israel can keep on bombing over and over. They got all of these refueling jets, or not jets, these what do they call them, aerial tankers, United States, what do they send? At least 22 of these things. I don't even know how many jets can one of those tankers refuel. And of course they've destroyed some of these air defenses, quite a bit of it in Iran. So, but Iran, I don't know how many launchers they have, how long they can keep this up. But you know, they did a lot of this very similar thing to Yemen. So it makes you wonder. A lot of people are saying, they're talking, you know, Iran is talking tough, Donald Trump is talking tough, you know. And you know for a fact the United States has lots and lots of bombs. It's not like what, like I've said so many times, you know, Joe Biden said, oh, we don't have any bombs anymore for Ukraine, so we have to give them the cluster weapons. We would rather not. We know that it is illegal. We know they're illegal, but we don't have any more left. And then, of course, that's when that broke out in Israel. And it's like, I tell you what, it's just magic. It is absolute magic. All of a sudden, the United States had huge amounts of bombs, endless amounts of airplanes and ships, taking more and more and bombs for Israel to kill all those innocent people in Gaza. You know? Compliments of the United States taxpayer. Thank you very much. Now, I wonder if they're going to pay for the funerals of 30,000 kids. Hey. So, not much English here, I'll tell you what. I mean, when they hear a native speaker. This is a culture center, by the way, from that truck factory. I don't know if you can stand up on this. Minsk Avtozavodskaya, that's the Minsk factory. It looks like a cafe over here. I tell you what, I wonder if you can get a beer there. I don't have any money, but at some point in time, it says Litskaya, which is also kind of strange. You know, I was at the Litskaya brewery the other day. Turns out that the controlling, what do they call that, shares of Litskaya belongs to a company in Finland. Strangely enough. So this, you can almost say that Litskaya is a Finnish company. It was started by a Jew. Oh no, a Jew, not a Jew. Started by a Jew in the early days. like I said, everybody is against the Jews, but the guy is really good. It was a good beer and became famous, and it was like a beer of royalty. Litskaya was a beer of royalty. So a lot of the royals in a lot of places were drinking Litskaya beer. So, because it's very, very good. Like I said when I was at that factory, and then I had to go, I didn't show it on here, on that tape, but they gave us Litskaya Premium in a bottle. And I was like, what? And I went to right there they had a cafe, and they had it on tap. And there's a huge difference. So if you find Litskaya Premium and you drink it from the bottle, like, yeah, it's fine, it's decent beer, sure, there's no problem about that. But I'm kind of even wondering, because I like, a lot of people in Bremen, they like Beck's beer from the bottle. They don't drink Beck's beer from the tap. They drink Hakebeck. It's a different beer. But when they want to have beer from the bottle, they'll drink Beck's in the green bottles. And it's not even the same beer that they send out like to the United States, but I found that was pretty good. There is it's a special beer. I think it's a fest beer that they do send to foreign countries. And the people in the brewery, because I worked at the brewery, Beck's Brewery in Bremen, they love that beer. It's this beer that is exported, but it's all very special, and it's only exported. It's very strange, But anyway, the Litskaya Premium from the tap, really good beer. They have Litskaya Pilsner and other Litskaya, but the Premium, that's the really good one. Just for you guys to know when you come over here. And if you come on the hot day and you have a Litskaya Premium and you'll say, oh, you'll melt in your chair and you'll say, I don't want to go anywhere else. Give me another one, please. I only like about 2 beers. I don't like getting so bloated up. You might think I'm some guy called me an alcoholic. I like a beer. I like sometimes 2 beers. I normally don't like more than that. I don't like getting all bloated up. Oh no, a bunch of young ladies over there. I don't know. No, they're not that young. Anyway, they're older ones like these ones here. Okay. So anyway, talking about the refugee crisis. Iran hosts more refugees than any country on earth right now. And I don't know what's going to happen if they start really and like Donald Trump says that he's going to really, really bomb the place if Iran chooses to defend themselves. Wait a minute. I thought every country had a right to defend themselves. Oh no, that's only Israel. Only the United States and Israel have a right to defend themselves. You don't have a right. Nobody has a right. Only the USA and Israel, or whoever happens to be the United States ally at that point in time when the United States has some kind of geopolitical goal in mind, and you are the tool. Then you the tool, then you have a right to defend yourself. Otherwise, nobody does. Iran doesn't have the right, especially not against the United States or Israel. Perish the thought. Okay, so I already told you that, anyway, Trump, his deception of saying 2 weeks, I told you that immediately. I said that immediately. I said it's going to be days. It's not going to be 2 weeks. Donald Trump is not going to... matter of fact, I even said Donald Trump's already made, and it's like, dang, I was like, where's my crystal ball? My crystal ball was working. I said that he's already made his decision to bomb Iran. It turns out he did. He did before he announced the 2 weeks. So you saw it here first again. Okay. Yeah, like I said, they thought it was strange that they're asked to return to diplomacy, and what was I trying to find that word that Aragachi said? He said it's irrelevant. Returning to peace talks is irrelevant after they were in the middle of peace talks and they started getting bombed. And it's like true. Like, what's the point? Are you gonna? I'll tell you what. Russia kind of does that right now. They're kind of in peace talks with Ukraine, and yet Ukraine never stops attacking Russia. And so therefore, Russia doesn't stop attacking them either. You see how much that works. And Russia's making a lot of big headway, I guess, in the Donbass. But like I said, when you're looking at a lot of these wars right now, Israel is doing a lot of bombing all over the place. There is some bombing by Iran as well. I kind of suspect, I hate to say this, but I think that Iran is starting to run out of bombs. Maybe their places that they made these bombs, these high quality bombs. Maybe they were destroyed. It looks like they got a lot of their enriching equipment out, and they got all the enriched uranium out of there into a safe place. So they still have all that uranium, and they can still enrich uranium. So the very cause that the West used to go in and bomb, and I mean West, like Germany and a lot of these other, they're all on board with that. They're not going to achieve that. They're not going to achieve that objective. As a lot of people are saying, that isn't the objective. The objective is regime change. It's the overthrow. And it's not even regime change. Let me set my 2 cents in it. It's not even regime change. It is to destroy Iran, to knock them back 50 or 100 years if they possibly can, to put back their development. Why would Israel bomb in a really massive way? Why would they bomb the university? It's like, that doesn't look like a military target to me. It doesn't look like a nuclear enrichment facility, you know. Anyway, you guys know what I'm getting at. It's obvious. They want to destroy that. Israel wants to be the dominant force. They want to keep everybody in the entire region down at least. They want no opposition to their expansion into creating Eretz Israel, the masters of the Middle East. So up till now, the 22nd of June anyway, yesterday, the Israeli strikes killed 865 Iranians, 3,396 wounded. A lot of those people are not going to live either. So it's going to be probably, at least if they even stop the bombing now, it's going to be 900 people they killed. So 2/3 of those people are civilians. So, you know, it's at least decent of Iran to admit that 1/3 of them have actually been military people. It's unlike what happened in when Israel was bombing Gaza. It's probably 99% of them were civilians, and what is it? 40% of them were children. And of course, that's what Israel likes to do. They like, more than anything. And I promise you, because I've heard it from their mouths, the main goal is to kill children. You know? It's sickening, and they even admit it. A lot of them admit it, and they even celebrate it. Wow. Okay. Political consultant Arnold Davile said the U.S. has to get rid of any perceived Russian presence in Armenia, and that's one reason why they're trying to destroy the churches there. And family values, by the way. And it's going to be just like Moldova or some of these other places where they're going to bring in homosexuals and transsexuals and mutilation of children and all that sort of thing, as the United States demands. And it's not even Donald Trump. You know, Donald Trump, he might be against that, but I'll tell you what, he doesn't run the whole show anyway. And look at Moldova. You know, in this case, it's the European Union. So maybe Donald Trump is just taking a break and, you know, acting like he does. He probably just doesn't care. He says, okay, you know, Europe, you go ahead and cut off your junk and change your sex, mutilate your children, you know, that's your deal, you know, and good luck to you. You know, and the next president that comes up, he'll continue here in the Americas, South America, and start doing that to our people here, so that we can reduce the world's population. Yes, indeed. So anyway, they're trying to gut it. They got a puppet leader there. Israel, I already said this stuff. I think I've pretty much said everything. Let me see if I brought any little notes on the side here. The massive bombing. Oh, just a little piece as well. Israel is also at the present. Oh, by the way, let me tell you what this is. This is Partizansky Prospect, and this is the Partizan thing up here. I've been in this place before. Anyway, and then further down is another statue of partisan things. So that is you know, but Donald Trump says it wasn't. These people didn't do that much. It was America that got rid of the Nazis. It wasn't Russia. It wasn't the Soviet Union. You know, maybe they lost over 30% of their people because they just don't know how to fight, not like the Americans do. Like, remember in World War I when America really lost their ass big time because they could not adapt to the correct military targets, but yet we won. You know, I mean, it's a lot of fake history. I was even subjected to that, being a history major. A lot of fake history. Fake. You know, America, the greatest. Everybody, you know, we're the greatest. You know, Donald Trump, of course, everything that he does is the greatest. Donald Trump needs 5 Nobel Peace Awards, all kind. I mean, there's nothing. There's no end. The greatest economy that ever existed in all of history was when Donald Trump was in there. Anyway, go on and on and on and on like this. But anyhow, what was I ending up saying? I got carried away. I got maybe it was some of Israel's bombings or them killing more people. Oh, Israel is hitting gates of prisons so that the prisoners can get out in Tehran. So precision hits, destroying the gates of prisons so that prisoners can come out and flood in the streets and have their way all over with the people, rapes and murders or whoever the heck, whatever is going on there. Makes you really wonder what's going to be happening then. To let the prisoners out. Anyway, so that's about all I have to say, and I hope I told you guys some things that you didn't hear in the regular news. It's a lot of this stuff is getting repeated by a lot of people. So, and then I'm not going to buy into any of this stuff. Oh, Iran is going to win, or even that Israel is going to win. A lot of things can happen. I don't know, but like I said, Israel, they have access to unlimited amount of bombs. Iran has to make them themselves. They have to make their bombs, and the United States will give everything, and if there is not enough in the United States, Germany is going to send them, France is going to send them, the UK is going to send them. There is unlimited amount of bombs that are flooding into Israel. So I don't know, it doesn't look good for Iran if you ask me, but we live in hope that Iran can be victorious. We hope that not many innocent people die, all that sort of thing. So anyway, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.